The Sigerson and Fitzgibbon Cups have a long history, dating back to 1911 and 1912 respectively. Initially there were only 3 universities, UCC, UCD and UCG. Trinity College only joined the Sigerson in 1963. But today, in 2012, there are over 18 universities or academic institutions involved in the championships.
The beauty of this competition is that, you know, the players who've won Fitzgibbon and Sigerson's are in many cases household names. Nicky English, Joe Dean, Shawnee McGrath and Cork, they were all inter-county players when they played and won Fitzgibbon, but they were genuine students. And I think that is the criteria. If you're a genuine full-time student, you have a right to play in the Fitzgibbon Cup or the Sigerson Cup.
Yeah, I played Sigerson. I enjoyed my time in Sigerson. I trained hard. I played under good teams and good management structures. But I do think that the significance of Sigerson is failing. And you know, I think it certainly needs to be relooked and restructured.
They're playing for their colleges, but for what? I mean, most big GAA fans probably couldn't name who won last year's competition. They couldn't name the finalists of the Sigerson from a couple of days ago. Right now, I find it hard to believe that kind of 25 inter-county players end up in the one college on scholarships genuinely. Of course, there are guys who are going, doing courses, who are bettering their lives and everything else through this. But there's a lot of guys who seem to be doing post-grad courses, this, that and the other.
There was no one that came looking for me or came looking for me to come in. I came in here to ask about the course. They gave me any information I need to do it. When I came in then, there was no one asking me to come train. It was whenever you're ready, whenever you're comfortable, if you want to come down and train with Sigerson, that was it. And I felt no pressure, and I'm delighted I did it. So far the experience has been fantastic.
The way it worked over here, we all live together, we study together, we eat together, we cook each other dinners every night. So it's just different. It's something we are playing football with your best friends. It's just we're friends for life now after the bond we're after making.
DCU is not the only institution in Ireland that tries to attract elite sports people and people, non-sporting people who have academic excellence as well. So I think it's pervasive in all third-level institutions. I mean, what we do is, quite obviously, we're interested in developing young talent. And many of the players who play for us during their time in DCU make that transition from minor to under 21 to senior. But I think the universities in general, and DCU in particular, don't get the recognition for the work that they do in developing these young players.
So where do the priorities of the players lie?
We have fellas involved with LIT and UL and CIT and GMIT and NUIG, so we've never had a full training session, and we won't until the week after next.
I remember talking to James Horan last year, and he was talking about there were 3 league games in last season. He'd just taken over, and he said 17 of his panel he hadn't yet got to see. So fair enough, you're playing with a better footballer if you're from a weaker county, but you're missing out on a lot of a short GAA season where there's not a lot of games.
But does it have an impact on player burnout?
It may to some degree. I think for me the single biggest issue that confronts the GAA, particularly those top 5 to 10 percentile of players, is the games to training ratio. It's roughly now 9 training sessions per game. I believe it should be no more than 2 per game. And I think we have to come up with a calendar that affords players the opportunity to play and not to train. And the senior hurling and football championships, the way they're designed as knockout competitions, it promotes training and not competition.
And how does it contribute to fixture congestion?
I think we do need to look at Sigerson competitions. I think we need to play it off relatively quickly. I think we need to have a better focus on it. And I think there needs to be less distraction between it and the other provincial competitions.
Colleges only open up in the middle of October. So people have mentioned that we should play Sigerson in December, but that's not really an option because players aren't back in college.
If its criticism is that it's clogging up the fixtures or whatever, you know, I just think it's a small price to pay.
Everybody wants a piece of the player. I mean, the player is the most important thing here at the end of the day, and if people communicated with each other, I think we could have a happy medium.
It benefits the players that are involved in it. Ask any of the players, and I don't think any one of them would swap it to miss out on this opportunity.
No one in Ireland really cares where you went to college. There's not the interest. So for a competition with little interest, for a competition which people stay away from, it shouldn't interfere so much with both club and county.
You must remember we're fighting for the hearts and minds of young players, and universities are a competitive area for field games, and if the GAA move out of universities, it'll be to the GAA's loss, nobody else.
Yeah, Marty Morrissey reporting there. Well, Martin and Tony, Martin, you have a vested interest in this. Tony, maybe you will in a year or two, because Martin, you have a young lad in 3rd level. Tony perhaps will do, as I said, shortly. What do you reckon, Martin?
Yeah, well, I think definitely it's a bit like the interprovincials. The players want it definitely, and they really love playing together. It's a great standard of football. It's probably one of the best standards of football. There's no tactics really in anything else. You just go out and play. I think we look at Owen O'Gara today, how well he played. I mean, his first big game really, when he showed it was in the Sigerson, and that gave him the confidence to come through. I think what they should do is play it off in January, have it played by the end of January before the National League starts. But I think looking at the whole thing, Michael, I think what we need to do take a good look at is all the managers need to meet, sit down, the club manager, the county manager, the university manager, just meet and let's sort the whole thing out. My opinion, my plan would be to look at it like this here. You have a strength and conditioning coach in a county and you have a manager. I think they should meet all the club managers, sit down, draw up the plan, the training plan for all the clubs, and let the players do the physical training with their club and the strength and conditioning, and then go to the county just to do coaching and tactics and that there. I think there's taking players all around the country to run them around the field or something like that there. On a cold night and a bad night, I mean, something will happen, something, maybe players could fall asleep or someone going back or something like that there. We don't want to see that happen. I think there's a wee bit of common sense has to come into it, and I would do away with the under-21 competition as well. That would help it a bit too.
Yeah. Okay, the thing about getting managers together at all different levels, it's a good idea, but is it practical, Tony?
No, it won't happen because every manager looks after themselves and the player isn't central. I think Des said there that the player should come first, and it should come first. But I suppose we were talking about Sigerson and Fitzgibbon here. First of all, it was a fantastic final yesterday, but they're not all inter-county players in college. They're looking after an awful lot of other players as well, and they develop these players. We talked about Owen O'Gara there a while ago. They're just not all inter-county players.
Should they run these competitions without the inter-county players?
Yeah, quite possibly they should. Definitely. And the other point I want to make here as well about DCU, people are talking about DCU now because they're successful. There's a bit of jealousy going on here, I think. DCU actually credit people for their sporting skill. They give them certain amount of points off courses, not too many. No, that should be all colleges should do that, not just DCU. If you're good at music, you get your points, you get your A and your B. If you're good at sport, you get nothing, and they put in just as much time as it.